Good morning from the Expedition Jeep. I think I got to come up with a new opener. It's always good morning or good afternoon for you guys. But it is a good morning. Down by the river. Look at the sounds of nature. I guess it's time for breakfast. Thought I'd show you guys how I do morning coffee in the Aeropress. I got my two-gallon Rotopacks units of water, and I'd been siphoning it out with a hose right here. That works great, but I picked up this jug of water back in the winter time when things were frozen, and just to keep up front where I could keep it warm and thawed out. And I've been using it ever since. I just use it as a sort of a carrier jug in between here and here. So when I'm siphoning water, I just siphon into here. I just bring it down onto the bumper, run the siphon tube, and refill this as needed. I found that it's a whole lot easier to just pour out of this into the kettle or whatever I'm doing and siphon into the kettle and deal with all that. So it's just sort of an in-between. Just something that's kind of handy. Anyway, let's get started. Grab our coffee box, kettle, and stove. So this is what I was saying. It's a whole lot nicer to pour right out of this. Keeping it simple with that siphon tube works great. This is even better though. And that's what it's all about when you're overlanding. Don't get carried away with all the hype. You don't need running water in your Jeep or your other, whatever your overland rig is. Just go back to basics. You can build from there. If you feel you need running water after you've been out a few times, if you absolutely cannot live without running water, then by all means implement it then. But go out and build your rig based around what you're coming up with for obstacles. Aeropress. I do have the paper filters with me, but I'm using the metal filter here just fine. I thought the paper would actually be easier to use for cleaning up, but the metal one there's no issues there either. I do the inverted method. If you have an Aeropress or you're looking into one, there's different ways you can do an Aeropress. So you would take your cup. I better go get that. Grab your coffee cup and you set the Aeropress on, your filter in here, the filter basket on, set that up. Put your coffee grounds in there, pour your hot water in, set your plunger, wait the required amount of time, plunge, and then you've got your coffee. I do the inverted method. It's a little bit more forgiving, I think, because you set the plunger, you take the basket off, put your grounds in here, put your hot water in, give it a stir, let it sit, and I find it more forgiving. I don't run a timer, I don't make it complicated, I just let it sit for a while. Put the filter basket on, flip it, plunge, done. If you're not sure what I mean about plunging, I'll show you that here with the Aeropress in a couple of minutes. But it's just more forgiving. If it's upright like that, you got the coffee dripping through already through the grounds and into your mug. So you need to look at the timing of it all and mess around. But it's coffee. I keep it simple. Aeropress, coffee mug. What else do we need? We need our grinder. If you're looking to get a grinder, don't get this thing. It's such a pain. The mechanism falls apart. There's supposed to be a nut that goes on there, but it doesn't thread. It doesn't hold. Not very good. Scoop. and good coffee. If you're gonna get cheap coffee, you might as well go instant or I don't know what, but get some good coffee. I've been rolling with the Morning Rise blend from Devil's Head Coffee, branded by 410 Expedition. Good stuff. It is, it's an Overland, well, Cappy's termed it as an Overland blend. It's got sweet honey, hazelnut, and milk chocolate flavors going on. And the Aeropress really brings out flavors. For 1 cup of coffee, that's about what I'm using for beans. It's, if you got an Aeropress, there's a little seam line along the scoop, so I take it up to about there. If I'm having an evening coffee, I'll go a little bit less. Just so I'm not up all night from the caffeine. I believe you can go to 410 Expedition website. I'll put the link down below. And they've started running a store for some gear and supplies and swag and stuff like that. So you can probably get the coffee down there. Kettle's boiling. And I've been talking too much, so I don't even have my coffee ground. Did I say you want a relatively coarse grind on this? You see that in there? Grind what you need. I've seen people fill the hoppers full of coffee grounds, and then they're, you know, 20 minutes later they've got their coffee ground. There's no need for that. So when I say coarse grind, rolling something like that. Dump that into our Aeropress. Add hot water. Just use a knife, give it a bit of a stir. And let it sit. You might want to stir it again, so leave the filter basket off. I'm putting the filter basket on because I just give it a bit of a swirl like that. We'll let it sit. This is the time now that I would take to start for my, you know, what I'm doing for breakfast. And I hope I got some oatmeal kicking around. I never thought of that. What do we got today? Appleberry Jazz. All natural, pure oats with apples, blueberries, and sunflower seeds. I don't always do oatmeal for breakfast. Honestly, I'd probably be toasting a bagel over the stove if the grocery store had bagels yesterday. But they didn't, so I'm having oatmeal. And sometimes I don't have a bagel, I'll just have a banana or an apple or whatever it is. I just sort of see how the day's going. And we let that sit. Alright, time to plunge our coffee. Make sure your filter basket is on snug properly. If it's not and you turn this over, you're going to have coffee go everywhere. Mug, just flip just like so. Now this will be a little bit more awkward for me because I'm going to try and do it up here, showing you guys the process. Normally I just put it on a tailgate hitch and give it a push. It's just a fairly slow, gentle movement. You'll hear the air in there hissing out. Some people stop at that point. It's all about the recipe. I go all the way just to get all that. Oh, get a chipmunk. He must smell a coffee. So I plunge, like I said, all the way down just to get all of the water through those beans. Set my mug down. Aeropress comes off. I pull back on the plunger a bit just to draw the beans, used beans back in there a little bit. A full thing of water on here doesn't quite fill my mug. Just take our hot water and add to it. Pretty simple, eh? Clean up. Because I've already pulled back on the plunger, I'm just going to take the knife, give that a couple of taps. Filter doesn't always come sitting, that's why I was tapping it to try and get it to sit. So I just, there, one more. Filter's out. I'll just wipe down the filter basket. I'll get another napkin here. Wipe down the filter basket. We'll scrape the grinds off of the filter. Typically I'll wash that off, rinse it off. I'm going to have another coffee actually after this, so that's why I'm just doing a basic job here. There's our used grinds. I gotta grab my garbage bag out of the front, but all I will do is just flip that into the garbage bag, give it a push, and all the grinds pop off of the plunger. Rinse that off, dry it, put everything away again, and it's good. Nice and simple, which I like. Enjoy your morning coffee. I'll leave some links down below where you can get your Aeropress. Cappy's website for the coffee, Devil's Head website, because they got some other really great blends too. Anyway, that's it for now. That's coffee, that's morning, I'm shutting the camera off. It's time to eat.